KUSI News at 10.
San Diego icon Herb Klein was laid to rest this morning at a local cemetery before a big memorial was held for him at the USS Midway Museum.
The 91-year-old journalist, former White House aide and friend of KUSI, died on July 2nd. KUSI's David Davis was aboard the Midway for the tribute.
In a ceremony aboard a floating museum that he helped bring to San Diego, Herb Klein was eulogized as a national treasure, a man who was known affectionately for his bullheadedness, but also calmness under fire.
Herb was, well, he was truly cool before cool was cool. He rarely raised his voice, did not lose his temper. He simply outwitted the opposition. And even more frustrating to his opponents, he did so with integrity, with scrupulous fairness and courtesy, according them respect that they often did not deserve. But Herb was no Pollyanna. In a fight, you definitely wanted him on your side.
No. Several hundred people were in attendance as one by one those who knew Herb best stepped to the podium. Klein served as editor-in-chief of the San Diego Union-Tribune for 23 years, where he exercised his legendary diplomacy.
In the afternoon of 9/11, a Tuesday, he gathered a cross-section of UT execs in his office and proposed holding a day of remembrance in Balboa Park that weekend. Herb described his wildly ambitious idea with characteristic and abundant enthusiasm. And then he listened to each person explain why it just couldn't be done. After everyone had had their say, he leaned back in his chair and he announced, "Well, now that we all agree, let's move forward."
Mayor Jerry Sanders reminded the crowd that virtually every single project that benefits San Diego had in some way been touched by Herb Klein, and that his intentions were always focused on the betterment of the city.
Herb gave you that firm handshake till his very last day. It surprised you every time. When he had that twinkle in his eye as he was telling you what you were going to do, as he was still thinking 15 and 20 and 30 years into the future and about what was best for San Diego, those were the things that were genuine.
Herb Klein was also a sports fanatic, attending every single Super Bowl from 1 through 38, most of them with his wife Marjorie, who passed away last year. And yes, he was instrumental in bringing 3 Super Bowls to San Diego. But his true love after family was public service.
In the 80s and 90s, as editor-in-chief of Copley newspapers, Herb made no secret of his belief that journalism was about public service. This is where his world of politics and journalism found common ground. It was as if he felt born to serve, whether it was his family, his friends, his city, his region, his state, or his nation.
David Davis, KUSI News.
Congressman Bilbray introduced a resolution to the House of Representatives this week commemorating the life of Herb Klein. That resolution honors all of Herb's accomplishments and offers condolences on his recent passing.
He leaves behind an incredible legacy.
What a man.
Some fifth